Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Kseniya and I make videos for people who, like myself, are going through the family-based immigration process. I'm not an immigration attorney. My videos are based on publicly available information, my own experience, and the experience of my subscribers. So if you file your US tax returns married jointly with your spouse, this video is for you and it will guide you through parts of the forms that you may find particularly confusing, and we will also talk about what kind of evidence you need to attach with your forms. This video will be applicable to both the petitioning sponsors and the joint sponsors. And before I go further, I would like to let you guys know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to the affidavit of support form and everything you need to know about it. So I frequently get this question, and that is, as a sponsor, as a green card sponsor, doesn't matter if you're a petitioner or a joint sponsor, what to do and how to fill it out if you file your taxes married jointly with your spouse. So on your US tax returns, if you select married filing jointly, and the amount on your US tax returns is a combination of both yours and your spouse's income. Well, first of all, I would like to let you know that as a sponsor, you are not required to have your spouse also support the intending immigrants. If you feel like your own income is enough to cover the intending immigrant or immigrants based on your household size, then in that case, your spouse does not have to be also signing anything or commingling their finances in order for you to sponsor an intending immigrant. So if you are unfamiliar with the process and if you don't really know how much money you should be making, first of all, you will need to figure out your household size, and secondly, you will need to figure out how much money you're making. So in order to calculate your true household size, you will have to go to the affidavit of support form, page 4. And I do have a video talking about how to calculate your household size. There is samples in that video for joint sponsors as well. But in general, you as a sponsor will have to count yourself, your spouse, your children, any other dependents that you have on tax returns, and then you will have to count the intending immigrant. You also have to count anybody that you have sponsored before, and as a joint sponsor, you do not have to count the petitioner themselves. You only have to count the intending immigrants. So once you figure out what your household size is, you can go to the USCIS site, to the I-864P webpage, and that one will tell you exactly how much money you're required to be making based on the poverty guidelines and based on your household size. So next, you will have to look at your tax returns, and USCIS looks at the total income line on your tax returns. For reference, on the 2021 tax returns, the total income line will be line 9. You will notice that line 9 on the tax returns will include both yours and your spouse's income. To best figure out how much money you personally make as a sponsor, you will have to look at your own W-2s or 1099s. Let's quickly go over parts of the affidavit of support form where you have to pay attention when it comes to being a married sponsor. And again, I will not go over these forms step by step because I already have those videos. So in part 6 of the form, in question 1, you will have to answer what your occupation is. And then in question 7, you will have to write an estimate of your current individual income. Again, I have mentioned it in many of my videos, but this is just an estimate for the year. You can round it up. You can just generally say how much money you're making. If you are a sponsor who is only using your own income, that is all you have to do on this page. If, however, your spouse is also helping you contribute their income, then you will have to write them down in the later questions, part 6, questions 8, 9, and 10. If you read above the questions, it says that if you're using income from any other people in your household, you will have to provide their name, relationship to you, and income. So here you can write the name of your spouse, you can write that they're your spouse, and you can write also an estimate of their own income. Now, moving on to the next page, on page 5 of the affidavit of support, in question 20, you will see that it asks for current annual household income. So this number right here that you will have to write will be a summation of all the incomes that you have provided on the previous page. If you are only using your own income in this situation, whatever you wrote in question 7 will also go into question 20. And again, if you have provided your spouse's name and income in this section, then on the next page, you will have to write a total sum of questions 7 and 10. So that will be a total number. If you fill out this form in Adobe Acrobat on your computer, this amount will be calculated automatically for you. Now, moving on to the next couple of questions. So, as a sponsor, if you're not using your spouse's income, in this situation, question 20 is the only one you will have to answer for now. And if you are using your spouse's income, again, you must mention them in questions 8, 9, and 10. And then you will also have to check off question 21, which says that anybody else who was listed as a household member will have to fill out a household member's contract form I-864A. And I also have a guide on how to fill out this form. Now, again, if you're not using your spouse's income and you have not mentioned their name in the previous page, then you will not check off this box. And the box 22 says that people who were listed on the previous page are actually also intending immigrants. And so they will contribute their income to yours, they will combine it. However, they do not have to fill out the form I-864A. This only will apply in situations when the petitioner is petitioning, say, their spouse or their parent, and this person works in the United States and will continue working in the United States, and they are combining their own income as well with the sponsor. Then they will have to check off the box 22, because the intending immigrant that has no immigrating dependents does not have to fill out the form I-864A. Now, moving on to the further questions, and that is questions 24A to 24C. These ones ask you to provide the amounts listed on your U.S. tax returns. You will have to provide the amount listed on the total income line on your tax returns. As I have mentioned earlier, the total income line is line 9 on the most recent 2021 taxes. So that is the amount that you will have to write exactly in this line. You will notice that this total income line will include the income of both you and your spouse, since you file your taxes together. In any case, if you are using your spouse's income to sponsor somebody, if you're not, it doesn't matter. You still have to write whatever that total income line is. And as for that, that is all that has to be done on this affidavit of support form. And then again, if you have checked off the box 21 for the household members, say for your spouse will now have to fill out the form I-864A. When it comes to the I-864A form, as a household member spouse, you will have to select your relationship to the sponsor in part 2. If you are a spouse of the primary sponsor or a spouse of the joint sponsor and you're not an intending immigrant, you will have to select the option 1C, which says, I'm not the intending immigrant. I am the sponsor's household member, and I am related to the sponsor as, and you could say, a spouse. When they say sponsor, they do not mean particularly petitioner or joint sponsor. They basically mean the sponsor that you are attached to. The amounts based on tax returns that they will have to write on page 2 of the I-864A form must match basically the same amounts that you have written in your own affidavit of support form, because you guys filed taxes jointly. So these amounts will essentially be the same. When you send in the evidence for the affidavit of support, all you will have to do is send in copies of your tax returns, even better if it's a tax transcript obtained from the IRS, and you can download those from irs.gov. And you will also have to attach a copy of your own W-2 to show, out of that total income that we wrote on the affidavit of support in lines 24A through C, how much money you actually are making on your own. You will also have to provide proof of your U.S. status, so either a copy of your U.S. passport, U.S. birth certificate, or your naturalization certificate, or a copy of your green card. You may also choose to attach your pay stubs and an employment verification letter. Now, when it comes to sponsors who will be using their spouse's income as well, in this situation, you will also have to attach copies of your tax returns and also copies of W-2s for both you and your spouse. You will also have to attach a copy of your U.S. status, like for anybody else, and your spouse will now have to attach a copy of their U.S. status. You will also need, in this case, to provide a copy of your marriage certificate to show that you are in fact related to this household member as being your spouse. Finally, you may also choose to attach photocopies of your guys' state IDs showing that you two reside at the same address. It's not necessarily a requirement for spouse household members, but it's still a really good idea to do that. And specifically for people who are intending immigrants and are also spouses of the petitioner, in the case that you choose to contribute your own income, which can be quite difficult to prove to the immigration, but say for instance that you still will choose to use your own income for the purposes of this affidavit of support, your spouse, your petitioning spouse, will still have to fill out the affidavit of support and sign it. And you, as the intending immigrant, if you do not have any other dependents immigrating with you, in that case, you can still write down your name in the affidavit of support form, page 4. You can still provide your own income, but you do not have to fill out the form I-864A. And for that, you will have to check the box 22 and write your own name. It's very difficult for intending immigrants to use their own income to supplement your petitioning spouse's income or your petitioner's income, because USCIS wants to see that you are actually earning this income in the United States from a lawful source, that you're paying taxes on it, that it is a consistent income, and that you will continue to work at this job even after you become a permanent resident. And those things are frankly very difficult to prove, and USCIS doesn't really provide specific examples when this would apply. And you can still try to use your own income, especially if you do pay taxes in the United States and you file jointly with your spouse. You can still try to use it. But in majority of the cases, I would say 99% of the cases, they will only be looking at the income of your petitioner. And again, if your petitioner doesn't make enough income and they use a joint sponsor, then that's a whole different story. But that is what I wanted you to consider. I hope that this cleared up some confusion for you guys. Let me know if you have any additional questions. Again, check out the I-864 playlist. Please give this video a thumbs up so more people can see it, so we can help more people. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I hope to see you in my next videos. Bye.